You don't just want to win your wife back. You want her unwavering, lifelong devotion, like the magical day you made your vows. Am I right? I recently checked in with one of my clients who turned his marriage around a year and a half ago, and guess what? They're still thriving, even after facing challenges that would push most couples to the brink of divorce. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 7 essential steps he used to restore his wife's lifelong love and rebuild the relationship. We'll dive into the exact moves he made, answer the critical questions you're likely asking yourself right now. Like, what are the key areas that hold guys back from their own success? How do you maintain hope when things seem hopeless? And how can I reduce my wife's constant criticisms of me? And lastly, I will show you how he navigated the crucial moments every husband must face that makes or breaks the future with you. And by the way, the 6th step, it holds the key to unlocking a hidden message your wife has been waiting for you to decipher. A message that, once decoded, can turn moments of tension into deep emotional intimacy.
It's one of the tricks I learned.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. It's such an advanced skill to master, but once you get it down, it's like you see like the truth behind the veil, right?
We'll uncover that later, but right now, let's jump into the first lesson he learned. A massive hurdle he had to overcome to truly start to rebuild their marriage. Now, understanding this will allow you to lay out the foundation of trust, a foundation that will never break, despite how much hurt arises between the two of you. Let's listen to a crucial moment from my conversation with Ryan.
What's one more key area that you think really holds guys back towards their own success?
A lot of it is, I think, is the affair stuff, is getting over the affair partners, and I think the biggest challenge, I think, is the ownership of who's actually to blame for her having the affair in the first place. Yeah, she's doing something wrong, but why is she doing something wrong? It's the why. Why was she talking to him in the first place? I mean, that you played a part in that as well. And luckily I grasped that right away. I think that to me was the biggest key thing that helped me get through her affair and the pregnancy that she had, from the affair, was knowing that, had I been a good enough husband in the first place and been there for her when she needed me, she never would have talked to that other guy to begin with. And so she never would have gone on that trip. She never would have met up with that guy. She never would have gotten pregnant. So, most of the blame fell on me.
There is a lot to unpack here. And I know this is a controversial topic that stirs up a lot of deep emotions in men facing this kind of pain. However, the lesson here is perceptual ownership. To truly begin healing and rebuilding trust, you must take full ownership of your role in where your marriage is at today. Now, this is important because shifting your focus from blaming her, right, to understanding your own part in the breakdown, what that does is that it gives you the power to change the trajectory of your marriage instead of waiting for her to change. You do all these things, but you're still waiting, you're waiting. When is she going to change? That victim mindset, it just doesn't lead to growth. And that growth is the only thing that causes her to come back.
You can't prove one way or another, but like when it comes to your happiness, I mean, studies will even back this up, that when you take that perspective, like you tend to be happier because you have more control over your environment, or otherwise you're like, things happen to me, I'm a victim, right? So, but like, I even get on calls with guys sometimes who are finding success, getting their wives back and stuff. And they even take it further than me. And it sounds like the way you talk about it, you probably even do more than me, where it's like one of the guys, Ryan, he was like, I remember who this was. He goes, his wife came to him and was like, hey, I'm sorry for this, this, and this. And so she took responsibility. In that moment, he goes, no, that was on me. And like, even when his wife came to him taking responsibility, he's like, no, that's me. That's why that happened. And I was like, damn, like that's growth, right? That's like getting your own ego out of the way.
And there's one more thing I need to say about this that you need to hear. Taking perceptual ownership does not mean you're a bad person.
That's what I think, going down to it, like it comes down to ego. Like, I'm this guy and I'm not a bad person. And it's like, you're not a bad person, but just because you did these things to your wife that led to this thing doesn't mean you're a bad person. I think a lot of people take that as like, if I admit I did this, then I'm a bad person. It's like, it's not doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you made a mistake and you're going to learn from it, you know?
Ryan mentioned earlier that he and his wife are renewing their vows, a special moment that symbolizes just how far they've come.
When we first got together, I was dirt poor, never got her an actual wedding ring, and she, when we got married, it was just a courthouse wedding.
Yeah.
And she bought this little, fake diamond ring from a pawn shop or whatever, and she wore that as her wedding ring, and just over the years, I never bought her one. She wore that, and I never put two and two together that she was okay with it, but not okay with it. You know what I mean?
Ryan didn't realize back then how much it meant to her to have more than just a ring. It was about something deeper, something he would only understand after facing the hardest time of their marriage.
And after the process for wanting a divorce and stuff, I had tried to buy her a ring, and actually it started. I put money down for one before she asked for a divorce. She didn't know about it, and had bought it for her after she asked, and ended up she wanted to return it, or told me to return it, and wanted one for, if we stayed together, and wanted one, that reminder of a time when things were better.
But then after all the struggle they went through,
we had talked, something came up about a ring or something like that. I don't know if it was Lord of the Rings or something. I said, so are you ready for a ring yet? And she thought for a second, said, yeah, let's go ahead and pick out a ring. And I said, all right, well, on one condition, we actually have a wedding this time instead of a courthouse, and we have an actual honeymoon. And she said, yeah, that'd be great. So
this wasn't about the ring. It was about rebuilding what had been lost and creating something new. They had come full circle. But what got them to this point? What helped Ryan rebuild their marriage? It wasn't just about perceptual ownership. It was about recognizing something deeper that was silently sabotaging their marriage. And until you recognize this in yourself, there's no moving forward with her.
Probably just overcoming my own guilt and my own shame, and those barriers that I had for myself.
Right.
Since I was a kid, I had those issues from when I was bullied as a kid, where I didn't have anybody to turn to. Nobody taught me how to deal with emotions or anything. So I just completely shut them off. And anytime I started having those emotions, I just put up a wall. And I had always hid and never faced those fears. And now I'm still learning, but instead of hiding from them, I'm dealing with them. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Ryan had been stuck in a cycle. The sabotage cycle is a pattern of self-destruction where unresolved emotions like guilt, fear, shame cause you to push away the very things you want to protect. Now, it's important to recognize and break this cycle, because as long as it controls you, your marriage will be stuck in a loop of emotional disconnection. However, once you break free, you unlock the path to genuine intimacy and trust. Imagine for a second your emotions and inner struggles as a fortress with towering walls and locked doors. The walls were built for protection, just like Ryan's were when he was bullied. But over time, these walls didn't just keep out the bad things, they also locked away the good. Every single time Ryan felt emotions rising, he added another lock or another brick or another wall of defense. But the truth is, to rebuild connection and love in his marriage, Ryan had to unlock these doors and tear down the walls. Only then could he let his wife in. Breaking the sabotage cycle is about finding those keys within yourself and having the courage to unlock the doors.
Right, because you'll see so many guys, and I think this is only really apparent to the men who actually join the program and they see the truth behind like how impactful this is. But like the idea of self-sabotage, right? Where you'll see guys, they're like, I know the post. I know it's coming even the first sentence, because it's like, man, I've been having so many wins lately, and like I know where this is going. And then just the other day, I said this thing, or I text her this, or I went through her phone or something. It's like something they do to just self-sabotage. And like where that always comes from is this like shame, guilt, like subconscious, like I don't deserve her. And this is why I'm actually doing this. And it's hidden to a lot of guys until it becomes apparent, right? So it's important to point that out.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing that stuff and you're looking for that stuff, then you don't deserve her. I mean,
Oh,
that's
wow.
the stuff that,
That was good. That was good.
There's an exercise you can do to break the sabotage cycle. The first thing is to identify your triggers. Take a moment to reflect on your situations where you've felt guilt, shame, or fear in your relationship. Now write down specific examples. Were there moments when you just felt the urge to withdraw or become defensive or act impulsively? These are your emotional triggers. The second step here is to take a mindfulness pause. So the next time you feel one of these triggers coming, pause. Don't react immediately. Take that deep breath and give yourself a few seconds to recognize what you're feeling and make sure you label that emotion, whether it's the guilt, fear, or shame, or whatever it is. Truly understand what that emotion is. Understand it, see it for what it is. Otherwise, it'll rule your life. And once you do that, you shift your perspective. Ask yourself, what am I trying to protect by reacting this way? What would happen if I let myself feel the emotions fully without putting up my defenses, right? Allow myself to go into those emotions. Recognize that the reaction is your old wall of defenses kicking in, not the true way you want to handle things, to become happy, to have intimacy, to grow connection with her. The next step is to respond and not react. So instead of texting, withdrawing, or letting the wall come up, take a different approach. Speak your feelings out loud to yourself or write them down. This allows you to process the emotions without letting them control your actions. And then take one small new action. Do something to connect with your partner. Send a thoughtful text or ask her how her day was or offer a small gesture of kindness. By doing this, you're consciously just breaking the cycle. You're building intimacy instead of sabotaging it. And once you understand and break the sabotage cycle, you can fully embrace this next principle. By mastering this next step, you'll reignite a sense of connection that makes even the simplest moments feel just completely fulfilling. Your wife will feel more valued, secure, and deeply connected to you in ways that bring you closer than you've ever been with her before. Listen to how Ryan describes this next principle.
a lot of it is just actually being there when we spend that time together. When I was home, I even though I was there, I wasn't there, and that's what ultimately kind of pushed her away and made her seek out somebody else, or fall into somebody else's trap, so to speak. So just being there when I was home, spending time with her, and actually just acknowledging her and talking to her and doing stuff with her.
Now Ryan is talking about something I call mindful presence. I didn't make it up, obviously, but let's talk about it. Mindful presence is about being fully engaged and focused when you're with your wife, mentally, emotionally, physically, and all of it, right? Giving her your undivided attention. Now think about those moments when you're scrolling on your phone, watching TV, whatever the case may be, and she asks you something. So you give her a quick answer to acknowledge her so that you can get back to what you were doing, right? Look, we've all been there. I totally get it. I do it myself all the time. But mindful presence is about more than just responding. It's about showing up fully, 100% yourself, leaning into her. When you're truly present, she feels seen, valued, and heard, and deeply connected to you. This creates the kind of emotional intimacy and trust that is crucial for lasting, fulfilling marriages. And look at how it changed Ryan's relationship.
She said, what makes me the happiest is going out and going shopping. And she said, one of the biggest things that I've noticed about you is that when you and I go shopping now, you don't complain. So normally in the past, when we go shopping together, after 5 minutes, you were a dick. and now, we go shopping, you're not an asshole anymore. You stay quiet, you help me pick stuff out, and we have a great time. And she said that to me is better than a date.
And what Ryan describes here is the key. What once felt like a tedious chore for him has now turned into an opportunity for connection. No complaints, no attitude, just being present in the moment, enjoying the time he spends with her, no matter what the moment is, good or bad. And here's the thing. This can itself reveal a lot of differences between a man and a woman.
Yeah, I recently read in one of Gottman's books about the shopping thing, how like the guy, when we shop, it's like we're hunting. This is what I want. I'm gonna get the thing and I'm gonna get it, right? Where a woman, it's like they're in the berry field picking berries, like, oh, look at this thing and look at that thing, right?
This highlights a big difference in how we approach shared activities. By being present, you shift from simply getting things done to sharing time together, which means far more to her than crossing items off of a list.
And the amount of time is important, but also when you're there with her, right? Like, like I say all the time, like she'd rather have 60 minutes of undivided attention. Like, how was your day? You're holding her hand, like, laughing with her, flirting with her, versus like 4 hours, like, okay, I'm home now, but you're scattered, right? You're thinking of things you're going to do tomorrow. Like that conscious time is also important, right?
Being truly mindful during the time you spend together is about making her feel like the center of your world in those moments. But presence alone in itself isn't enough. So if you're not truly understanding what she's saying, it's like you're watching a foreign film with no subtitles, right? Sometimes you're like, that's a completely different, I hear her words, but I don't understand her. Well, mastering the next step will help you break through those frustrating moments when it feels like you're just speaking different languages, leading to fewer misunderstandings and a far deeper and deeper connection. It'll feel like you're finally on the same page with her. No more guessing, frustration, just understanding. Here it is in Ryan's words.
One of the other big things too is just, she said, our communication now, understanding each other. We're speaking, not necessarily speaking the same language all the time, but understanding that men and women speak different languages most of the time.
Right.
And that there is that barrier there. And, men kind of speak, I like to put it, men speak English and German, and women speak French and German. And sometimes, English is our primary language, German is our secondary, and French is their primary, German is their secondary. And occasionally you both have to switch to that German to understand each other.
Ryan is describing something I call here the language sync. It's about recognizing that men and women, we do communicate differently. We use the same language most times, but being able to shift your approach to speak the same language as her feminine language, it's not just about hearing the words, but grasping the underlying meaning behind those words, the intent behind it, right? It's the sub-communication. Now this is important because when you master this, it eliminates those frustrating moments of just talking past each other. Like you're saying the same words, but you just don't get each other. Instead, you'll finally get what she means, and you'll both feel seen, heard, and completely in sync with each other, like you're on the same wavelength, making the smallest of moments feel so significant. It's a topic in our program that we cover a lot of ground on. You can explore more by clicking the link down below to set up our call with our marriage evaluators, where we're going to give you a detailed blueprint about how you got to where you are in your marriage and what steps you need to take to save it. But make sure you are fully committed to this process. If you are, we got you. Now, Ryan shares a practical tip on how he broke through the language barrier in his marriage.
It's so true, because there's like, we hear the same words, but there's something clearly different being communicated here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, if you don't get what you can tell when the other person doesn't get what you're saying. And sometimes you have to say, hey, I'm bringing up the trans, drawing you a picture. What I say is what I mean. Right. Sky is blue, grass is green. This is what I mean. So we've both worked on that aspect too, and that's helped quite a bit too.
Clarifying what you mean and what's on your mind will always reduce confusion and build connection. Now, let's dive into something that might be on your mind right now. How do you turn those moments where everything feels hopeless into instead opportunities for growth? Well, this next step will completely shift how you handle your toughest challenges and transform setbacks into moments of progress.
If a guy is like losing hope, right? He's looking for wins, but he's not finding any. And he considers himself to be in a hopeless situation. What would be, and I'm sure you've had these points across your journey where you felt like low motivation, low hope. What is something that would keep you going, or advice you would give a guy to keep going in that scenario?
Well, the first thing I tell people is there's no such thing as a loss. I mean, there's wins, and then there's learning experiences, and then every time you learn something, you're winning. So everything is a win. So there's positive in everything, no matter what it is. Even if it makes you feel bad, you're still winning. So look at the bright side. Even if it hurts now, it's going to make you feel better later. So just look for the bright side and everything. Sometimes you have to look for it harder than other situations, but it's always there.
The principle here is a mindset shift called the positive reframe. Mastering the positive reframe allows you to shift from feeling defeated to seeing every challenge as a win and an opportunity for growth. So instead of being stuck in negativity, you gain control over how you respond to setbacks. This builds resilience and forward momentum. Now, in the movie Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise's character is trapped in a time loop, reliving the same day every day until he dies in the battle. Now, at first, each death feels like a failure, but he soon learns that every setback is actually an opportunity to gather new information. He improves his skills and ultimately gets closer to victory with each death. The film is a perfect metaphor for the positive reframe because, much like Ryan's message, Cage transforms his repeated failures into learning experiences. Each time he dies, he gains a new understanding of the battlefield. He also improves his chances of success. Remember, there's no such thing as a loss, only opportunities to improve, adapt, and grow stronger, just like Ryan describes. Now, I want to take you deeper. There's another crucial shift that can completely transform how you respond to challenges in your relationship. It holds the key to unlocking a hidden message your wife has been waiting for you to understand. Once you decode this message, there is no limit to the strength of connection you can build with her. She trusts you so deeply that she opens up to you in ways you never thought possible, sharing her deepest and most raw emotions. Now, instead of pushing you away during the hard times, she draws in closer, seeking your comfort and presence. Just imagine how that would feel. Listen to our conversation, how Ryan responds to this.
Like the idea of every action, every criticism she has, or every time she's upset, putting it through the lens of like, oh, I'm making her not feel emotionally safe right now or reassured. Are you able to see that pattern in her tests or criticisms or whenever time she gets upset?
I actually take that as a good thing now. When she does criticize and test, because I know now that means she cares, and that means she's trying to show me something and tell me something, and it's just in a different way. So I smile on the inside when she does it. So, and then when she snaps at me and stuff, and I just tell her, it's cute when you're angry at me, or you're cute when you're feisty, or whatever. So that's one of the tricks I learned. I think it was from was it the masculine relationship? That was one of the tricks.
We're talking about criticism alchemy. You have to recognize that she saw the God in you, the most perfect masculine, amazing guy. And whenever you fall short of that, she challenges you because intuitively and spiritually, she knows that you only grow through challenge and you're masculine. So when she's criticizing you, she's essentially just saying, I want you to be that guy and step up. And a study by Sue Johnson said, and Happy Couples Therapy has changed, said studies show that when your wife criticizes, it's often not about what she's saying on the surface. It's actually about a deeper emotional need for connection. Now, Dr. Sue Johnson is a creator of emotionally focused therapy, and she found that criticism is usually a way for asking for reassurance and closeness, even if it doesn't sound like it. Because women are indirect, they're crazy, I know, but they don't speak directly, but just you can decipher and understand that. And when you can pick up on that and respond to the understanding and not get defensive and just show up for her and give her what she needs to reassure her, you're actually building a stronger emotional bond and bringing her closer to you. And when you apply the final principle, you'll notice something even more powerful. She will start to lean into you, feeling more secure, more trusting, and warmer toward you. Imagine her looking up, literally looking up to you more often and figuratively, falling into her feminine, falling into your arms with a deeper sense of connection. Have a listen.
So I quit asking her what she wants to do so much now. I'm just taking charge more and just leading more rather than in the past. I was always like, if she asked what we want or what I wanted to do, I don't care. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. And now I always give an opinion. Even if I don't care, I still give an opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just so there's something there.
This powerful last principle is called assertive influence. It's about confidently leading in your relationship by taking charge and offering direction while still valuing her input. It is crucial because when you lead assertively, it makes her feel secure, cared for, and more connected to you. You stop being passive and she starts to trust you on a deeper level. This is how you unlock the feminine energy she's been bottling up for so long. But here's the trap most men fall into, and it's one you'll want to avoid. Take charge and lead. And when you lead with assertive influence,
it's so easy to just kind of fall into that complacency, right? Because I like taking it from like almost like a biological perspective where making decisions, it burns calories, right? Like it burns energy. And if you, as a guy, you just want I want to rest. I don't know. This really isn't a big deal to me. But for her, like if you start to really understand your wife, or women in general, it's like she needs that guidance, right? Like she can make her own decision, but give her that guidance, right? Like, so knowing that balance it makes her, and it goes back to that safety piece, right? She can trust you, like, oh, and just in case I have no idea what's going on, he will be the one to guide us. That's what she needs from you. So
yeah, and there's other little stuff all the time. She reminds me to take charge now and lead. I'm going to follow you now, or I'm going to do this, do this, or I'm going to take charge and lead. She does it for me now and reminds me to do it.
You're not just making decisions. You're building trust. You're creating safety and unlocking a deeper emotional connection with your wife. Now, there's another great video that expands on some of the principles that Ryan's marriage did save. You can click on it right here. The 4 steps to re-attract your wife, the scientific principles. So watch that. Set up a call down below if you need support on saving your marriage, and I'll see you in the next one.